Less than 10 miles from the White House, a middle school is being terrorized by MS-13. It's called William Wirt Middle School. It's in Riverdale, Maryland. And it's one of many whose makeup has been changed entirely and almost overnight by mass settlement of unaccompanied minors entering this country from Latin America. Now, according to the Washington Post, MS-13 members in the school start fights, sell drugs, rape fellow students. Teachers say they fear being alone with a lot of these kids. They also fear saying anything about it because speaking out could cost them their jobs. It's a tragedy that can be traced almost entirely to U.S. immigration policy, but elites don't seem to care at all and, in fact, crush any conversation about it by screaming, "Racist!" Needless to say, their kids will never attend William Wirt Middle School or anything even approaching it. Jose Aristimuño is a former DNC press secretary, and he joins us tonight. Jose, thank you for coming on.
Good to meet you.
What I found ironic about this story was this is this kind of third iteration of the MS-13 story. First, we were told they don't really exist. It's a figment of your racist imagination. Then we were told to attack them and call them names is immoral because they're good people. Okay. And now we have the Washington Post telling us in detail about how they've destroyed this middle school and are terrorizing the students. Are we allowed to acknowledge that, or are we bigots for doing so?
Well, no, let me start by saying this. If you're undocumented in this country, if you're a criminal, including being a member of MS-13, we don't want you in this country and you should be deported. Part of the issue here, Tucker, is that people like yourself and some Republicans want to pinpoint and just simply say because your first name Jose or you're Latino like me, I'm automatically an MS-13 gang member. And that is not true. A majority of immigrants in this country
you're a ridiculous, stop. You're a ridiculous person for saying that. I've never suggested anything like that. It's appalling that you would say that. I don't think that, and I've never suggested it.
I will speak the truth.
You're speaking a lie, and not for the first time. What I said is what I read in the Washington Post, which is self-identified gang members are destroying the school and terrorizing people. I bet you don't have kids at that school. I bet you never send your kids to that school. But you've got no problem with those people being in this country because it fits some sort of demographic plan that you approve of.
No, that is not true.
The truth is it's a disaster.
That is not true. I just said it. If you're an MS-13 gang member, if you're undocumented, you should be deported. A majority of people who are
undocumented. No. Then why have you consistently attacked anybody? No, yeah, right. Nobody has said that the majority of immigrants are criminals or bad. I'm not saying that. I don't think it. What I am saying is that we don't know the identity of people coming. He has not said that. You're lying for political gain, as always. What I have said, and what I think many normal people have said, is that we don't know who's coming into this country. We don't know anything about them. There are 20 million of them living here. We don't know their identities, their backgrounds.
I got an idea for you.
And some of them are bad people.
Okay, so you know what we do? Let me tell you what we do. We pass comprehensive immigration reform. We legalize a majority of people. It would be a whole lot easier, Tucker, to actually look for the real criminals if we legalize the good ones. Don't you think so?
How would, yeah. I mean, it's hilarious that that solution comports exactly with your political goal, which is to create more democratic voters.
Oh my goodness, give me a break. That's not, no.
You tell me rationally how, if illegal immigration, the inability of the U.S. government to know who's living within its borders is the problem, how encouraging more of it, which is what amnesty would do, is the solution. There's no logical answer to that because this is not something you're interested in solving.
Okay, so your answer, and to many Republicans' answer, is to deport the 14 million illegal immigrants and undocumented immigrants in this country. That's your solution.
We're guessing at that number. Some people think it's 20 million.
Okay,
I think
20 million, 14 million. What do we do?
When wage growth has been stagnant and the cost of everything is growing much faster than the growth in wages, you need to stop the ability of employers to hire cheaper people because they're here illegally. We need to make E-Verify mandatory. You cannot hire people here illegally. No. Look, if you bothered to learn anything about this subject, if you took it seriously, we're bigger than a political issue,
I take it very seriously.
No, you don't know nothing about it. Then you would find
I am telling you that we have a choice to make us Americans.
About it.
I know more than you.
Then why should an employer? You know nothing. You know nothing.
I know more than you.
Why would an employer in this country be allowed to hire someone illegally, depressing wages for American citizens?
You want to fix that? You want to fix that problem? We reform the system. We legalize the people that are already here.
You could do
That's what we do.
Legalize it. No. You could do it tomorrow. Why should employers be allowed to hire illegal aliens?
I'm going to say it again.
Look
we
right in
have
the camera
two
and
choices.
tell me why they should be allowed to do that.
We got two choices here, Tucker. We got two choices. We deport the 14 million or 20 million, whatever number, or we legalize them.
This is just
we put
another
them in a path
stupid
to
political talking
citizenship,
point
so we
from
can
a
actually get
stupid
them out of the
person.
shadow.
Whatever.
No, we
you know what?
we get them out of the shadows.
I don't have time for conversations with people who don't know what they're talking about and haven't thought it through and want to come on and spew more talking points and call anybody who disagrees a racist, which is what you did in the very first sentence of this segment.
Because that's what you guys have done from the very beginning.
Yeah, you're pathetic. Well, recently you've seen an obsession in the press with the notion that it is particularly evil, utterly immoral, to separate illegal immigrant parents from their children. Here's part of the outcry.
Taking children from their parents, from their families, from their mothers must stop, and it is not negotiable.
Invest in children where we don't tear them from the loving arms of their mothers and their fathers.
The fact that those families are being separated at the border, the fact that children are being torn out of the arms of their mothers is on Donald Trump's head and nobody else.
There are a lot of sad stories out there, for sure. But let's put this in perspective. Parents are separated from their children every day in this country. American citizens separated from their children. That happens when they're arrested, whether it's for theft or drug dealing or tax evasion or whatever, and nobody cares. But once again, to the left, illegal immigrants are special, and they have more rights than you do. David Bernstein is the founder of Run for America, and he joins us now. David, look, I think it's, as the father of many children, I think it's crushing when parents are separated from their kids. But I wonder why this is only suddenly news. How many, just for example, children right now, American children, are living without a parent who is behind bars in this country? Do you have any idea?
Well, look, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but we know that it's actually quite sizable, and they're there for all sorts of crimes.
2.4 million.
Yes. Yes.
Right. So the majority of American prisoners have American children from whom they're separated.
Yep.
And that's a sad thing. I haven't heard anybody on the left mention that because they're not illegal aliens. Well, and I just wonder why the focus on the pathos of these stories while the suffering of American citizens of the exact same kind is being completely ignored by you and your fellow liberals. Why?
Well, first of all, I'm not ignoring it. I'm here talking about it with you, and I think it is unfortunate because research shows us that parents who are parents and children, when they're separated, incurs tremendous trauma on children, right? And we have a system in this country to deal with that. I think the reality is for the people who are being separated at the border, a lot of these people are already coming from very traumatic situations, so it makes it a little bit different. But I agree, Tucker, that there should be a broader outcry about all the
So
ways
you think most American prison inmates grew up in Greenwich and went to choke? No. Actually, they grew up in poverty and in circumstances that rival those in Tegucigalpa. So let's be real here. If we really cared about American citizens as much as you care about illegal aliens,
we absolutely should have a better system for how we deal with
I don't think we even have a system.
We don't. You're right. We have the foster care system in this country. If you really want to talk about the crisis for
I'm
families
very aware of it.
and children in this country, the foster care system in this country is riddled with corruption, is crying out for reform. It's one of the many things that we could actually do. We could actually come together on a bipartisan basis, but people are too interested in stoking fear around immigration and issues like this, like you on this show.
Really? Because I guess I see it a little differently, because here I am reminding you that the crime that you're so upset about is taking place and hurting Americans, but you don't care. So, for example,
I am upset about
you had 60,000 Americans die last year of drug ODs. If you saw
that is
the
a
same
devastating fact, Tucker.
But we don't care about fentanyl coming over the border. What if the same proportion of illegal aliens were dying? What if illegal aliens were dying of fentanyl, not just dealing it, which they are? If they were dying of it, do you think that we would sit back and say, we can't do anything about it, it's a demand problem? I don't think we would, actually.
No, absolutely not. And the reality is, Tucker, that there are Democrats out there who are responding to what they see, and they don't like the fact that that children are separated from their parents. I do not think it is a good thing in this country any day when a child and a parent are separated, no matter what country they come from, no matter how they got here. That shouldn't happen, okay? And we should try and do our best to have a system that doesn't allow that to happen. And whether it's because they're illegal immigrants, whether it's because they're accused of shoplifting, whether it's because they're accused of tax evasion. I think the effort by you and others on the right to try and gin up this energy is exactly the kind of force that makes this such a divisive issue, Tucker. And the reality is that the immigration...
Right. That's hilarious, actually.
Why
because
is it hilarious?
what I'm interested... No, because...
I don't find anything
there's
about
a
this
principle at
situation
stake here. No, it's hilarious because you and Elizabeth Warren jumping up and down. He's got blood on his hands. It's on his head. This happens every day, and you guys don't care because it's happening to Americans.
I care.
So let's talk solutions.
I'm here to tell you. I've been telling you this whole
Because
segment that I care.
I haven't. Yeah, I don't think you've actually been raising much of a hue and cry about this. When tax evaders go to jail and leave their small kids at home, it's like, that's fine. That's the price you pay when you commit a crime. So what is the answer? That if you have a small child at home and you commit a crime, we don't incarcerate you? I mean, is there a simple solution that I'm missing because I'm ginning up fear or evil? I mean, what is the solution exactly?
There's absolutely not a simple solution, Tucker, to this problem.
Then why are you pretending there is? Why are you pretending there is? You and Elizabeth Warren.
Excuse me.
Like Trump
I never said there's a simple solution to this problem because this is certainly not a cut and dry problem. What we could do in this country, is have a different system for how we look at criminal justice, for instance. And the president, who's been eager to pardon people who Kim Kardashian puts in front of him, could look at some of the nonviolent drug offenders who are in jail, who should have their sentences reformed.
But let me just ask you really quickly, a sincere question, actually. If someone has a small child at home, should we punish him differently for a crime?
Maybe we should. Maybe we should look at that differently. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying yes.
I don't know the answer, but I mean,
I don't know the answer
that's
either.
the fruitful conversation.
But this would be a good conversation to have because it needs to apply to everybody we have in this country.
Good, and not just to foreign citizens, but our own citizens.
Absolutely.
David, thank you.